Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Good afternoon, guys. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday today. Before we get into what we're going to talk about today, if you'd like a one-on-one session, as usual, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or you can send a text message to 647-406-3057. If you would like to call, just send a text to that number and just let me know your name. Let me know that you've been watching my videos, and then I can get you the help that you need. All right. So let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So, what we're going to talk about today, guys, is pay attention to their actions, not their words. I'm going to say that again. Pay attention to their actions, not their words. Narcissists, what narcissists like is if everybody pays more attention to their words and not their actions. That's why with narcissists, everything seems too good to be true. From the minute you meet them, it all seems like it's something that you've never experienced before, because narcissists know exactly what they're doing. And they are not just doing it to you. And this is the part that gets many people, is that narcissists are never just doing their games to one person, their tactics rather, to one person. They're doing it to multiple people that you don't even know about. And the thing is, and the reason why it can be so challenging to understand this is because, again, narcissists like to brainwash people with their words, and their actions, 99% of the time, they never match their words. I will say this though, unless there's something in it for the narcissist, unless they see benefit in telling the truth maybe one out of a million times, they will only tell the truth if it benefits them, if there's something in it for them. So, what you need to understand is that when it comes down to people in general, you need to pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Because people's words, people can say anything. And many times people do say whatever they want. But how many times do you find it that people are actually people of their word, where they say something and they come through on what they have said? Or they promise you something, someone makes a promise to you, but then they break that promise, or they say something to the effect of, "Oh, I never said that," or they'll future fake you and they'll say, "Oh, we can do that. We'll get married. We'll be boyfriend and girlfriend in the future, and just give it some time, and maybe when we're 20, in our 20s, we'll date and we'll do this and we'll do that." And you started believing those things. But how many times did those things actually happen? I'm going to guess zero, because again, narcissists, that's how they brainwash people, with their words, not their actions. Because that's the thing about narcissists, right? They expect you to honor your word and be honest with them. But see, narcissists, they can't be honest with people. And the reason why is because narcissists, what you have to understand is that narcissists are only out for themselves, number one. And number two, they have a high sense of self-importance, where they believe everybody should cater to them, but that they don't need to cater to anybody else. Because narcissists, they have a hatred for everybody. They have disdain for everybody. They're jealous of everybody. Even people who don't even have as much as a narcissist has. Let's say it's your parent or your spouse, and let's say you don't have a lot of money, and let's say that the narcissist, your spouse or your parents, or the narcissist is your parent or your sibling or somebody, whomever you know, let's say that they have more money than you do, they will still be jealous of you. The reason why is because you still possess something that they do not possess. See, narcissists have like a God complex, like a superiority complex, where they believe that they are above everybody else and that everybody should bow down to them, right? That's what narcissists believe, that everybody should love them, that that everybody should want to be like them, right? That's what narcissists believe. But unfortunately, what narcissists need to know and what you need to know is that narcissists, they don't care about you. They don't. They flat out just don't care about anybody, right? Doesn't matter how long they've been with this person. Doesn't matter if the narcissist discarded you and they just went off to another person that they had in the wings, most likely the whole time, or if it's your parent and then they cut you off and then they stop talking to you for some reason, and then now they're lathering up your other sibling with fake love and fake empathy and all that nonsense, right? What you have to understand is that it's never authentic, because narcissists go from people, from person to person to person, from place to place to place, to relationship, and they do this because they can never be satisfied, right? That's why narcissist actions never match up with their words, because they are never satisfied. They can't be satisfied with anybody because they believe that everybody is out to get them. And that's one of the reasons why, when it comes down to, this is one of the things that really gets people as well, is that when it comes down to the narcissistic experience or the narcissistic relationships that you have with, or you've dealt with narcissists in the past, one thing that many people can't fathom is the fact that the narcissist was never in love with them, that the narcissist was never all in. And the reason why is because with narcissists, they just can't be satisfied because nothing's ever good enough for them, right? You could have 3 jobs. You could have a lot of money. You could have this. You could have that. You could have everything. You could have all your ducks in a row and everything's great with you. You could be 6'4" and have a lot of money. You could, be beautiful as Beyonce. You could have all that, and they will still throw you away as if nothing happened. Because because like I said just now, narcissists are jealous and envious of every single person on the planet that they encounter. Because they believe that they should be able to be and have what everybody else has and who that person or people are. Like I said, they have a God complex. They believe that they are above God and that everybody should bow down to them. Right? And so what you need to understand is that when it comes down to narcissists, right, when you're dealing with them and when you're dealing with people in general, watch their actions, not their words. If somebody is telling you that they will be there for you in words, but then in actions they don't show up for you, and you're calling down their phone, let's say it's your boyfriend or your girlfriend, let's say, or it doesn't even have to, it can be your family, your parent or your sibling, or you need to be somewhere and you've always been there for these people anytime you needed them, right? And they say, oh, I'll be there for you anytime you need me. But then when you need them most, they're nowhere to be found, right? And this is what blindsides a lot of people, because what happens with relationships is that when somebody says they'll be there for someone, but that person turns out to be a narcissist and doesn't show up for that person is hoping that this person's going to change. That person's hoping that if they were to give them another chance, that things would be different this time, that things would be different that time and this time and that time. And then they start thinking to themselves, and then when it's too late, they have nothing, right? So what I'm saying, guys, is that you need to start watching people's actions and how they act towards you. Now, hold on. I understand that not everybody's perfect. And we also know by now that not everybody is the narcissist. But what I'm trying to say is that people's actions will tell you everything about them. People will show you who they are by how they act. That's why it was Maya Angelou that said that, saying that goes, when they show you who they are the first time, believe them, because that's who they are. 99% of the time, that's very true, right? When people show you who they are, believe them, right? Because they're like that for a reason, right? And many times it's in your best interest to just don't give them a time of day. Because if they could fake who they are, and if they could say to you that I will be there for you, but then they just don't show up, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't that kind of bizarre that somebody could say I will be there for you, but then just willingly, intentionally not show up for you? That's strange. That's very strange. But what you need to know is that narcissists do this all the time to people. They have multiple people that they're dealing with at any one time. How is that? Well, it's because narcissists cannot be alone. Because if narcissists are alone, then that means, and I said this in one of my other videos, that they have to self-reflect. That means that that mirror is going to show up in their face, and it's going to show just how much of a nasty, ugly person that they are. And they don't want to see that. They don't want to have to be accountable, right? Because it's too painful for them. It's too scary for them to have to face that reality of that person that they just lied to, that boss that they just stole money from, that person who they said, let me borrow your car, I'll give it back, whom they stole that car from. And now that person is out to get them, maybe calling the cops on them. And then the cops, they get to the narcissist. See, narcissists, they're never satisfied. They can't be, right? So that's why I'm saying, watch people's actions, not their words. Don't just think that just because somebody is nice to you means that they're a good person. Now, I'm not saying that this is all the time. This is circumstantial, right? What I'm saying is watch people's actions over time, right? Watch how they act towards you when times are hard, when you're at your lowest point in your life. Let's say that you just lost a loved one. And let's say that you have a best friend, let's say, of 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years or something like that. And let's say you just lost a loved one. And then, you tell them about that. And then you let them know about the funeral. And then they mock you and say, I'm not going to no funeral. And then you're scratching your head saying, but you're my best friend. And then they're like, I don't care. I never asked you to do anything for me. And now you're scratching your head and you don't understand what the heck's going on, because this best friend who you've known for 30, 40 years, all of a sudden they just morph into someone completely different whom you don't recognize. Well, the truth is that that's a good thing, because they've just exposed and told you who they are, because eventually, especially in 2026, in this day and age, everybody is revealing themselves in real time. Everybody is manifesting who they are in real time, right? So we need to start believing people's actions when we see them, right? We need to start paying attention, because many times, and what you have to know about narcissists too, many times they're actually telling you who they are. Many times when they talk, 99% of the things they say, it's a projection of who they are. So if they're saying, for example, that the person that they were, let's say it's romantic, that the person that they were in a relationship with before, let's just say that they say that person cheated on them. Let's say you ask them, so what happened in your last relationship? And then they say, for example, oh, they cheated on me and they weren't a good person. And then you're saying, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And then they say, oh, that's okay. Well, now you have to think to yourself, is that actually true? And you have to think, how long have you known this person? And you have to ask yourself all these questions before you just believe what they say, because they could very well be lying to you, and that person probably left them because they were toxic, because they found out that they were a narcissist, or the narcissist probably was the one who gave them a hard time, and then the narcissist discarded them. So what I'm saying, guys, is people's actions will tell you everything about them. So pay attention to people's actions, especially when it's somebody that you want to get into a relationship with. And like I said, the rule of thumb is to test them when times get hard, right? And also, I made a video some time ago now, some months ago, and the title of that video was, what was the title of that video again? Oh, yes. The title of that video that I made was the number one biggest sign you're dealing with a narcissist. And the number one biggest sign is, for this video, if everything feels one-sided. So in this situation, paying attention to someone's actions, if it seems like you're always there for them, if it feels like you're doing more for them than they're doing for you, that's a huge red flag. That should tell you everything you need to know about that person. Or if they're always making excuses not to, spend time with you or go out with you. Let's say it's one of your guy friends. Let's say you're a guy and it's one of your boys, or your mandem that you deal with or something like that. And let's say you guys are supposed to go play basketball or go play a sport or watch a game or go to a party, let's say, and you and a group of them are supposed to go together, let's say. I don't know, I'm just making this up. Let's say you're supposed to go, together. And let's say that you had plans for your birthday, and let's just say that you wanted to invite them out, and let's say let's go, and then you guys make the plans, everything's great, and then they don't show up. They're nowhere to be found. They're a no-show, right? And then what happens when they're a no-show is you start calling down their phone and you start texting them saying, "Where are you? Where are you? We had plans for 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. You said you were going to be coming." And then no answer. And then let's say a week goes by, and then let's say that a week goes by and you get a message from them saying, "Hey, what's going on, bro? What's going on, brother? How's it going?" And then you're like, "What the hell?" And then you send them a message saying, "Hey man, we were supposed to go out for dinner for my birthday. Where were you?" And then they don't answer. Silent treatment. And then you try calling them, they don't answer their phone. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that this actually happened to me. I remember I had a guy friend, and we were supposed to actually go play basketball for my birthday. We were supposed to go play basketball with some people, and it was my birthday. I think this was like 2 years ago. We were supposed to play for my birthday, and out of nowhere, on the day of my birthday, the day we're supposed to go at, like the time that we said we were gonna go, out of nowhere he says, "I don't think I'll be able to come." And then I'm messaging this guy. I'm just like, "Oh, what happened?" And then he just doesn't answer me. And then the next week I go to church, the week after that, or I see him the other day, and then the next day, and then he acts as if nothing happened. He's like, "What's good, bro? How's it going?" And I'm just like, good. And I was confused because I didn't know what to do. And then I obviously had to block him and go no contact because it didn't seem like he had any regard for me. And I was just like, yeah, all right, whatever. But then what's funny now is that now he's trying to get back with me, like he's trying to be my friend again. And he's, whenever he sees like, "Hey, what's good, bro?" And then he's trying to be my friend, and I just ignore him because I'm just like, if you can't even show up for me on my birthday when you say you're going to show up for me, that I don't need to show you respect back in return, because that's just unacceptable behavior. Nobody should have to put up with that. Or let's say, for example, for this example, or not this example, but let's say it's one of your siblings at home. Let's say it's in your family, and let's say that you're supposed to be doing something, right? Let's say you're supposed to be going to the movies. Let's say you're going out, or let's say you're going out with a girl. Let's say you're taking her out on a date. And then all this time, let's say, for this example, let's say you're supposed to go out on a date with a girl, let's say that you're a girl and you're supposed to go out on a date with a guy, let's just say. And then you tell one of your siblings, that you're going to be going on a date. I can't do anything for you right now just because I have already made plans. And let's say that you tell them that, right? And then let's say out of nowhere they say, "Can you give me a ride to this place?" And then let's say out of the niceness out of your heart, you give them a ride. You give them a ride, everything's good, you drop them off, and then let's say that now you need a ride to go to that place, and they say, "Yeah, I'll give you a ride." And let's say it's just one vehicle that you guys are sharing. And let's say now you need a ride, and then now they're saying, "I'm not giving you a ride to your place, even though my thing is done. I'm not giving you a ride." And they're just like, "But I just gave you a ride, and I told you about this place I'm supposed to be." And they're just like, I'm not doing that. I never asked you to do that for me." So see, that's what I'm trying to say, guys. You need to pay attention to people's actions, because people can say anything that they want, but then not mean what they say, right? Especially when it's your own family. Those closest to you can do the most damage to you. We tend to give those people a pass because we say that they are family. Now, nothing against family, because I believe family, family is important, and that, we should all have, some sort of family to be able to, live our lives, bounce ideas off of, have people who are there for us, etc., etc. But just because they're family and they're related to you doesn't mean that they should be able to treat you with disrespect and be able to just walk away as if nothing happened, and then you have to carry the weight of that on your shoulders. That's unacceptable behavior. Nobody should have to go through that for anybody, especially when it comes to your family, right? So that's what I'm saying, guys. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to red flags. Pay attention to people's actions, not their words, because words represent who somebody wants to be. Actions show who a person really is. So you need to pay attention to when people are showing you their true colors, right? When somebody disrespects you and they morph on you, that video about narcissist morphing I made, when somebody morphs out on you out of nowhere, now I need to put a disclaimer here, because what can happen if somebody acts out a certain way at you is sometimes they will apologize and they'll say, I'm so sorry for what I did. I really didn't mean to do that. I was just feeling away at the time. I was just going through something. I'm really sorry. And then let's say that they don't do it again. Good. That's great. That's a green flag that you have a good person in your life that can own up to their mistakes. But a narcissist, on the other hand, what they will do is they will morph on you and they will yell and scream in your face and cause a scene, and then they won't apologize. In fact, what they'll do is they'll act as if everything is normal after. They will change into another person just like that, and then they'll pretend as if nothing happened. And then when you start questioning them, they'll say, why are you being so serious for? Why don't you grow some thick skin? Why don't you grow up and stop being so immature? And then they're yelling at you and you're wondering, where's all the... And now you feel confused, because you have to remember, narcissists thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. Narcissists know in that situation, when the narcissist is yelling at you, one, they're getting supply from yelling at you and watching you squirm. And the second thing, when they're doing all that, it's causing chaos, right? And now it's causing confusion because you don't know where it came from. You didn't do anything wrong to them, right? But now you're confused. And now they know that they can control you, because they know if they can get away with it once, they know that you will keep giving them a pass after a pass after a pass until they believe inside their disordered mind that it's getting old, and then they just get rid of you just like that, right? So what I'm saying is that narcissists, they know exactly what they're doing, right? And they know because narcissists are always studying people, right? They're always studying people to see, how much they can get from this person until it's time for them to move on to somebody else, right? Because everybody, and I said this on a reel, like on a comment on a video, that everybody is disposable to the narcissist. Every single person. I don't care how young, I don't care how old, I don't care if it's your mom or your dad or your spouse or whomever it is that's a narcissist. Everybody is disposable to a narcissist. Every single person. Now, some people are going to come back at me and say, well, person I know, they've been with the narcissist for 30-something years or 40 years, and they've known them all their life. Well, that may be true. But what you have to consider also is that not all that glitters is gold. Not everything is as it seems. Maybe it seems as though they've been together for that long, but you'd be very surprised, especially if it's a marriage situation. You would be very surprised at the amount of marriages that are open marriages and open relationships where both spouses are okay with sleeping around with each other, or one is doing it behind the other's back without the other knowing about it. You'd be surprised at the amount of times that this happens. Even in Christian marriages, this is happening. And it's interesting because Christian marriages have a higher divorce rate than marriages in the normal secular world. In Christian marriages, their divorce rate is, I think, 60%, 65%. But then in the secular world, it's only about 40% of all divorces, and in the secular world, first marriages. So what I'm saying is that you can't just assume and take people's word for everything. Because a lot of the times when people say some things, sometimes they're just talking out of both sides of their mouth. And sometimes they're just stealing other people's ideas just so that they can make somebody else look bad, right? So what I say is to pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Be very careful, especially especially if somebody's gossiping about someone and then they come to you and that person who's gossiping tries to get you involved in the gossip. Be very, very careful of that person, because that person, I guarantee you 100% certainty, that person's probably the narcissist who's going around gossiping about other people. Because normal people, especially if they're healthy, stable, normal people, they don't go around gossiping about other people or spreading lies about other people about nothing they know about. Now, I'll put another disclaimer out here as well, because I know somebody's going to come back at me and say, oh, when I was a kid, I did this. When I was a kid, I did that. You know, I made the mistake when I was a kid of telling on my sibling or this or that, or not keeping a secret. We're not talking about that, okay? And especially because you just said you're a kid. When you're a kid, it's understandable, because when we're kids, we don't know right from wrong. We know nothing. We're kids. We're children. We don't know anything. We don't know better, right? But as you mature and grow up, hopefully, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people never grow up, and that's a narcissist. Narcissists can't grow up because they have a disorder in their brain that doesn't allow for them to grow up anyway, right? So what I'm saying here, guys, is to pay attention, pay very close attention to people's actions, how they act. Pay very close attention to, do those people show up for you in your time of need? You always show up for them, but do they show up for you? Especially if you're engaged right now and you're about to get married to that person, and you're probably watching my video right now, and if it's your first one, thank you so much for being here. But if you're about to get married to someone, and let's say that you're about to marry them, but it doesn't seem like they care very much about you. And through their actions, they don't show up for you when times are hard. With their actions, they're disrespectful to you. They treat other people better than they treat you right in front of you a lot of the times. If you're a guy, and you're with your woman and she's a narcissist and you're engaged to her and she's treating that total stranger way better than you, she's carrying out a conversation with them and she hasn't carried out a conversation with you for the last 5 years, then that's a huge red flag, right? That's a huge red flag that she's probably not that interested in you. She's not that into you. Flip it. If you're a girl and you're with this guy and he's talking it up with other girls right in front of you, and he's carrying out a conversation with them and everything's great and everything like that, and he doesn't conversate with you the same way, then that's a huge red flag that he probably ain't that into you. He probably doesn't care, right? It can also be out in a work situation. Let's say that your boss, they say that they're going to promote you. Let's say that you guys talk promotions, and let's say your boss says they see that you've been working so hard and you're such a good employee, and we're going to promote you to this position effective next week. And let's say that next week comes and then somebody else gets promoted. And then you're wondering, wait, boss, I thought you said I was supposed to get that promotion. And then the boss says, oh, I think you misunderstood me. We said that we were going to promote you to a different position, but not that position yet. But we promoted that person instead in that position because we know that when we promote that person to that position, that you will be a better fit for this position. That's what we wanted. That's what we were saying. And then you're scratching your head because you don't know what's going on, because they promised you, they probably gave it to you in writing, and now you're confused. But what you need to know is that boss is for one, they're gaslighting you because they're making you doubt your reality, because they know what they said. They know exactly what they said. But they want you to doubt yourself. They want to cause cognitive dissonance in your mind so that you forget about it. And now they can continue to take advantage of you and have you doing the work of 3 people, right? And then now you're busting your ass and you're not getting anything. Then that boss is sitting back and they're getting supply from watching you work so hard. They're getting supply from you getting miserable at your job. And then when you try to quit, now they're going to say, why are you quitting on us? You're such a good employee. We're going to make sure that do you want a raise? We'll give you a raise. That's what bosses who don't care about employees do. So next time, like I said, guys, you're in a situation like this, pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Like I said, people can say anything that they want, but if their actions don't match with their words, then that's a huge red flag that you're dealing with somebody who's not very honest. And narcissists are pros at this. That's why narcissists make everything seem too good to be true, because they know if they can do that, they can get multiple people reeled into the love bomb stage, and then the abuse can go around in a loop. They can have them in the love bomb stage, and then they can take them into the devaluation stage, and then once that devaluation stage is over, then they can discard them and throw them away as if nothing happened. And then at times what the narcissist will do is they'll hoover them, try to draw them back in like I just mentioned, that scenario with the job where that boss discarded them, where they reverse discard the boss, and then that boss is hoovering them, or maybe they quit and then time goes by and that boss hoovers them and says, do you want to come back and work here or something? And they know inside their mind that they're not going to give you the job, right? So narcissists, they come at you in many different ways. But you need, like I said, for the sake of this video, you need to watch people's actions and not their words. Don't be fooled by people's words, because words have meaning. Words carry weight. There was a saying, and I think I made a video on it, and it was entitled, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me." So think about that for a second. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie. Words mean a lot. That's why if somebody's actions isn't matching with their words, then that is a huge red flag that you are dealing with somebody who is dishonest or potentially a narcissist, right? So pay very close attention. When people say something, do they come through for you? Are they there for you when times are tough? If you're a woman and you're pregnant, is your husband or your boyfriend or whomever they are they there with you when you are pregnant in the hospital, or do they run off with their buddies and go get drinks and pretend as if you don't exist? Or do they make excuses about where they actually are? Or do they not answer their phone when the doctors or whomever is trying to get a hold of them as the emergency contact, and then they're nowhere to be found? They don't answer, right? So what I'm saying, guys, is pay close attention to people's actions, not their words, all right? Yeah, guys, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that this video helped you out today. If you want a one-on-one session, please email me, paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or please send a text message to 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you need some more advice, if you have some questions about any of the content that I put out, please feel free to reach out to me. If you want to call, just send a text to that number. Let me know it's you, because if you just call me, I may just block the number because I just don't answer from random phone numbers unless they leave a message. But otherwise, please just make sure that you text me. I just want to know who you are, and then I can get you the help that you need, all right? So thank you so much for joining me here again today, guys. I hope that this video helped you. Like it, subscribe to it, share it with somebody who you think could use the wisdom, use the knowledge, because in that you would be helping someone out that doesn't know that they need help. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.